Today we have with us a very special guest. But before I introduce him, let me just talk about my two co-hosts as well, Shy Nine and Engineer Rabbit, who as always will be joining us for the podcast. What's up, Shy? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
What's up? And what's up, Engineer? How are you doing?
I'm sort of good. I'm sorry if I sound like a zombie today. I had like a wisdom tooth removed. So if my pronunciations are not that clear, please forgive me. I can just repeat what I've said. So, yeah.
That's all right. I think as long as we can hear you, that's pretty fine. So Shai, I think we need to share a very funny story with Scarra about his image in our Indian community. So I wanted to like just take her on and explain to him what exactly is happening.
Okay. So it started off with a member of the community, as in the League India community. It started out as a joke, as a friend of ours pointed out that Bishi looks a lot like Scarra. So
Oh God. Okay.
I was just as like surprised by it, but one of the members of the community like, hey, you know what? Like you look like Scarra. I'm like, I don't. And then she apparently photoshopped my face on your photos. And the community went ballistic, right? They're like, whoa, yeah, the resemblance is uncanny. So like, I want you to be the judge here. I will send you a few photos, Scarra. Let me know if you think there's any resemblance at all, because I mean,
Okay.
I can't really disagree with them, but like it's just hilarious that that happened. So Shai, why don't you just go ahead and share some of the photos?
this is the one that started off,
So they took your photo and mine photo and
right?
just put it.
Okay. I like the cross section. Okay.
So then so everything else snowballed after that. So people started creating memes on it, and
I
there's
think there was a
another
point
one,
where
and
a lot of the members in the community, like every time Bhishi made a post or
Oh
Bhishi
yeah,
made some
dude.
comment, they were like, "Oh, is that Scarra? Hello, Scarra. Hello." Like it was always like interchanged between your name and Bhishi's name. It's like
Like
they didn't leave him alone after that.
they didn't at all.
and
Wait,
yeah.
that's such a good
So
Photoshop job. Wait, I didn't even realize that was me. And then like they put okay. Whoever's
the
photoshopping these is doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, like we have to give shout outs to Akansha here for doing those sort of photoshops. But yeah, even when I saw them, I'm like, holy shit! Like, all right, like I sort of get where they're coming from, but damn. So I think like you even did a sort of a joke at HyperPlay where you made a small video for the community where you said like, hey guys, this is Bishi and I have here people are impersonating me. I think one of Sukamal or someone from Riot was there to do it, and that video came on to our community, and it's like a reverse joke of sorts that became quite
Oh, I
popular.
remember doing that. I just didn't realize it was for this.
Yeah, that's what that was for. So when that video came out, when you were at Hyperplay, like people got ecstatic, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually the Scarra at that point, and we were so like, oh my god, this is really happening or not? But that was like really funny. So I just want to show it to you before we start off the podcast. So coming back to Hyperplay, right? I believe you just went there. You were full fledged there. It was like one of the first events that happened where music and League of Legends and like concerts kind of came together. How was your experience at Hyperplay, and what do you have to say about that?
Okay. Do you want me to talk about my experience at the event itself, or do you
Yeah,
want me to talk about like the overall stuff, like Singapore plus like
I
everything that
think we can
happened
we
around?
can we can have it both ways as well. You can talk about your experience as well as about how Hyperplay went since you were there.
Okay. So I'll do both. So first of all, Singapore. We'll start bigger picture. It is hot. It's super hot. Like, and I'm not a person that's indifferent to heat. Like, or I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I would see highs of like 120 in the summer, 110 in the summer. Like, I understand heat. What I don't understand is 99% humidity. It is actually brutal.
Oh,
Just walking
yeah.
out. The first time I got off the airplane when I was there, I thought I was literally walking through like water particles in the air. Like it felt like I was walking through water. It was so bad, and that's probably still one of the only reasons why I don't like the country, like everything else is great. Like it's gorgeous, it's super clean. It's really like everyone's so nice. Like the worst thing I could say about Singapore is that wasn't the heat or the humidity, is that people are really soft spoken there. So it's hard for me to hear them. In America, in a lot of different places, people are very loud because everyone else is loud, and so like I never have to ask people to repeat questions. So in Singapore, I had one fan come up and like really thank me for being like for all the content I did and for starting offline. I could not hear them. It literally took me I had to ask 3 different times what they were saying for me to understand it because it was so quiet, and I had never had that problem before. So that was really, really surprising. But the food was amazing. I definitely would want to come back just for that. I mean, I think that it was. It's a city that that's packed with a ton of culture in such a small place. So it's a great place for me to visit and experience something like completely new, especially with the 3 different types of cultures intermingled. So just in general, I thought Singapore was fantastic. Everything from the food to the culture, to the places we went to the fans that we saw. It was the first time in my life I'd ever felt famous. In a city. Like I'll go to events and be famous, pseudo famous for certain amounts of time. But in actuality, this was the first place I'd ever gone to where I felt like actually like I could understand why people wear sunglasses. So I don't get recognized. I can understand like why people like don't go out to buy groceries. Like they have someone else go for them. You know, it's because like, yeah, if you're streaming and people know where you are, like people are gonna come, and a lot of people showed up for Lily. Some showed up for me. Some showed up for Albert. You know, it was insane. About the event, it was really cool. You know, I didn't realize how big it would be because when I first got asked to go, they were just like, so you want to do this thing with like right, Singapore, you come over and like they'll have some musical artists there. I'm like, okay, cool. What musical artists are gonna be there? And like, oh yeah, no, like it's okay, I'm not that much. Nick Jonas and like Alicia Cara, and I'm like, I think I don't really listen to much music. So when someone says Nick Jonas, I was like, I think I know who that guy is. Alicia Cara, I think I know who that girl is. I'm not quite sure. And like CL from 2NE1. I was like, yeah, I think I've heard of these people before. Like, I hope they're like sizable. Like, I hope they're decent, you know. And it turns out they're like just enormous. Because I was telling people about the event, they're like, "Who's going?" I'm like, "Oh, these people are going." Like, what? I want to go now. I'm like, oh, you know, like I'm not huge on concerts. I've gone to a couple, but you'll probably never see me at any of those or any raves. But like, yeah, it was a lot bigger than I expected, and I was just casting like. It felt like I was watching the early season 1 of NA League of Legends, the competitive scene, where like it was really, really all over the place. Like there was no real structure, but there was a lot of heart, you know? And I think that's the biggest thing is I was looking at players with a lot of heart who were competing for actually no money because they couldn't legally give people money. They were competing for like the razor blades and other equipment, and pride. They were competing for pride. And so for me, it was somewhat nostalgic to see players like this playing and competing for like a dream. Essentially, it was just a really nice event.
That's really awesome to hear. Like, if you had like one amazing moment that you could take out of HyperPlay throughout your event, like your most favorite moment of HyperPlay for you personally, what would that be? Or something memorable that you're never gonna forget this particular moment at HyperPlay.
Oh, like actually at the event, or like maybe what happened after, or what happened like
something regarding HyperPlay could have happened afterwards as well. That works too.
Probably.
It could have happened anytime in your stay in Singapore. I mean.
One of the things I remember fondly is so HyperPlay invited a lot of cosplayers over. Like a lot of them, like it was like one really, really famous one from South Korea, who had her own translator, as well as a bunch of other ones, just locally and throughout the area. And after the show, they invited us to go with them to eat at a local market. And so just sitting down and eating with like a bunch of cosplayers, talking to them about like all kinds of different stuff, everything from Chinese anime to what should we call it, like cosplay, the cosplay world championships that was going around was really cool. It was something that like I the cosplay community has always felt very far away for me personally, and to get that kind of invite and to see how like inclusive people are, to hear like not only their highs but also their struggles of cosplaying in a country like Singapore, was super cool. It was just like I had gotten invited to see the inner workings of a community I've never seen before in a country I've never been in, and so that dinner was really enjoyable for me.
Nice.
But at the actual event, you know, I'm not huge on music, but I actually really like the Sam Willows.
Oh.
When they ended up coming out, I was in the room, the cosplay room, like with the rest of the talent from offline, and we were just talking about stuff. While we were talking, Albert kept looking over and he was like, "They're pretty good," and I kept looking over and be like, "They're a lot better than I expected." And so like while we were talking about stuff, it was just like constantly I was being, I guess, surprised by the quality of music that they were playing. And so that was something that I was like, music wise, none of the three big artists were the things that I took away. Actually, it was actually them.
Okay.
That they were a lot better than I thought.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. So, Shai, you have a few questions regarding offline TV. So, Shai really loves watching all of offline TV videos.
Oh
He's
man,
one of the
okay.
big fanboys.
All right, I got it. Okay.
He's just
I'm
gonna
actually
ask
wearing
me-
like one of their shirts right now, so I got this. Don't worry about
Does
it.
your merch ship there to India or South Asia? Does your merch ship there?
Because it's like kind of a grassroots kind of thing, and we don't want whatchamacallit. We're like still figuring out merch and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
We're doing stuff from Teespring, so I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure it does. The shipping just might be very expensive, and I apologize for that.
Oh, that's okay. I've seen the video where you get gifts from fans. What was the weirdest gift that you received?
I don't know if I can talk about this.
With the spears and
Was it
the
that weird, guy?
shuriken?
Was it
For
that
what?
weird?
Well, I mean, we've gotten everything from dung beetle tea to like weapons, maybe even weapons. Like it was like a lot of different types of weapons, you know, to like 40. If you saw the video, 40 to 60 different Vanguard booster packs. It's just a disgusting amount of like, there's one type of card game that I've never played before, and just so much of it. But in terms of the strangest thing we've gotten, and I will talk about this, I'll share this with you. This is brand new, never before heard of. So we got a package recently, and we have not yet opened it, but it looks like kind of beat up. It's like a package that someone duct taped over, shipped in a large box, like looks like it got beat up for a couple of days, ended up near us. And we picked it up, and we didn't know what to expect. So we opened it, and when we opened it, there's just like, you know, in the horror movies when they draw like weird messages on the walls in blood.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like that, but the top of the box. It says, "This is for your offline
Oh
TV
my God.
unboxing video."
Okay.
They didn't even say that. It's like, "This is for all of you guys. Like, you're gonna really enjoy." And I'm just like thinking about the context, and I'm like, we actually were super afraid to open it. And then the person reached out to us separately and told us.
Right.
And was really like rational about it, reasonable, like, no, really, like, this is for your unboxing video, like, you're gonna like it a lot. But just the first image of it, we took a picture of what it looked like. I don't have it on me, and it looks like something you'd find out in a horror film. Like they were sending like bodies, like just like body parts, like just like some weird stuff. We actually, after that happened, took duct tape and re-duct taped over the opening and just like left it as far away as possible. You know? We were worried that maybe something inside would decompose. So that was like one of our most recent, never before told freaky stuff. It's actually still downstairs, that box right now. Damn. So I'm hoping that when we open it, it's not like a corpse or something. Apparently, hopefully it's something pretty cool. But I mean, I'm excited to do it.
I hope you put that on the video, whatever it is that you find out, though.
No, we definitely will. It will be in our next video for sure.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
doesn't it like scare you? Like sometimes there may be something like, I don't know, because you do the unboxings just like on without opening them first. So isn't it kind of scary?
Yeah, it is. And if we're gonna go down that route, I'm gonna talk a little bit about like the real talk of what it is to be popular, and have like fans, obsessive fans. Yeah, everything is scary. You know, anytime you reach out to the public or reach out to your fans, you are in essence putting yourself in danger.
Right.
But for me, it's never been about worrying about that because if I do, then I feel like I'll be like did all my interactions with my fans or with my community just feels it'll have that hint of fear or that hesitation. So like the way I see it is like it's a low percentage chance for me for it to happen. Like just talking
Right.
pragmatically, the chances of it
Right.
happening are probably the same chances of me going on a plane, like a plane and the plane crashing. So it's
Right.
like rather than every time I go on the plane, I worry for my life that this plane could be the last plane I'm ever on in my life. Or I could just be like, yeah, if it happens, it happens, you know? And so like
Right.
I know a lot of people will take certain like kind of I guess separate precautions. They won't eat anything, any food from fans unless it's packaged. They will never eat. They will never accept drinks from fans.
Right. Right.
Actually packaged as well. And even when it is packaged, sometimes it's like a little bit dangerous. For me,
Mhm.
I just hope it doesn't happen. And to be honest, I think that it's hard to have like a really, really big obsessive fan base for myself. You'll see obsessive fan bases for a lot of the female streamers, especially in offline. Super obsessive fan bases for like Pokey,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
you know,
Right.
one, she's really pretty, and two, she's really, really enormous. And so people are like super obsessive about her.
Hmm.
And you'll see some of that way for like Toast, between Toast and Janet. But for me, it's like I'm just like that kind of like goofy guy who plays League of Legends. I don't really get like the super obsessive, super creepy fans who will potentially do stuff like that. And I think that like I focus everything on the game. There's no other like ancillary things for you to be like like to talk about or to get obsessive about. So you're really only talking to me if you're obsessed about League of Legends. And it's like I can deal with people like that, you know. If they're obsessed about League, they're probably not gonna like send me like bugs or like something like that. So, on a real talk perspective, yes, there's always a fear of something bad happening, but like I don't let that fear control my life. I just take as many precautions as I can, and I just run with it because like at some level, like it's not worth the time to worry about it.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. The pranks. Whose idea was it to start with the pranks?
It was never an
Or
idea.
is
Really.
it?
It was actually
Okay.
just Fed. Fed just ended up randomly doing it.
Okay.
You know, and I think that like it was really early. Like, I still one of the best videos of all time on our channel is Pranky Pokey with like the USB keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Right. Oh yeah.
yeah, and I think at that time, if you want a kind of a more insider look on the idea, it was like we had done 2 pranks within the span of 2 weeks in our first like 10 videos, and I think we were worried there about. I know people loved it. People were just like, "Give us more pranks, dude." Yeah, and we as an entity, like all the individuals, were really worried about the channel becoming a prank channel, like where we
Right.
only prank people. You know, there's all these channels on YouTube where pranks happen. And so we stepped away from doing pranks, even though we knew it would do well, because we wanted to make sure our channel was more than just like us pranking each other. And now it's been a long time to where like, yeah, we're probably gonna bring something back, you know.
Yeah, you can
I
go-
don't know when, but we're definitely entertaining the idea here and there, and obviously we're not gonna tell people when we do it. But yeah, like that was a conscious decision of ours to actually step away from pranking. And
Okay.
almost all the stuff very early starts from Fed, you know, and works their way there. Especially our early videos, Fed was kind of the brains behind everything. Now the
Okay.
brains are Mark and Josh, but before like he was like the big
Okay.
brain head honcho.
That's pretty cool. Ingenue, I think, has a few questions to you
Yeah.
regarding streaming.
All right. So basically, I wanted to talk to you. So you've been streaming since around 2011, 2012. So I wanted
I
to
was
talk
streaming
to
before
you.
that.
You were?
Yeah. Okay.
What?
I was streaming in 2010, but not on not on Justin TV. I was actually thinking I was streaming in 2009.
Oh,
I'd have to double check, but I was streaming before that. And it's not your fault for not knowing, because the only way you would actually know. Let me go look to see where it is. Yeah, in 2009 and 2008, I was streaming.
Oh, okay.
Nearly a
And
decade.
I was streaming.
That's nice.
That's a
I was
decade.
Decade.
Yeah.
I was streaming World of Warcraft on
Okay.
a website called Xfire. And what happened would be Xfire was one of the first live streaming services for gamers. You would only I was at the time one of the best World of Warcraft players, period. Not to the level where I could compete competitively. I would say I was one of the best semi-professional ones, who was placed like consistently top 10 in his battle group, but would never be good enough to be pro. But because of that, Xfire was really funny in the sense that like you would never be allowed to have more than 50 people watch you, regardless.
Oh.
So like
Okay.
if you hit 50 people, you have to queue up to watch
Watch.
your favorite streamer.
Damn.
And
Oh,
so
wow.
That's interesting.
I would hit like 50 like here and there, like quite a bit. And there were some channels that were able to get more than 50. I don't even know how. But I think that my channel like never was able to get that access or whatever. And so yeah, I've been streaming for a long time, and I didn't even realize it until someone pointed it out to me. But I had been streaming for a long time.
That is surprising to hear. Like, I think you are like one of the OG streamers out there. If you look at, since you've been streaming since the start of game stream started. Like, Scarra was there when that happened, I'd say.
It's crazy because people, Fed's friends, his real life friends, came up to me when they visited the house and were just like, "I grew up watching your stuff," and that's mind blowing. Like that they've like followed me or know of me for 5 years and grew up with me. I was like they're Mr. Roger, and I was like, this is weird. Like I'm this old, kind of stuff.
Also, Engine I think is back. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a little bit of connection issues, I think, in the middle. So let me know if it
Yeah.
lags
we'll-
out
we'll-
again.
we'll-
All right. So I wanted to talk to you a bit about your transition, like from being a pro player to like a full-time streamer. What were the major obstacles that you sort of faced?
I didn't have problems coming into streaming. Actually,
Okay.
I was one of the fortunate ones where I blew up when streaming first happened.
Okay.
And I started my stream to like 100 viewers, like 50 viewers. Couple days got to like 250, and then within 7 days I got to like 4,000. So like I would never have trouble getting viewership because I was one of the very first stream of consciousness streamers. I would say I helped lead the kind of pact of people talking about random bullshit when they stream. So like I just always talked about my thought process for League of Legends, and I help people kind of understand like what am I supposed to be doing, or like what does someone else do who's better than me do when they think about the game. Like, how do they think? And I pioneered that kind of stream of consciousness stream. And nowadays it's very common that people just talk about what they're doing all the time, or maybe focus more on the entertainment aspect of things. I do think, however, that one of the things I learned is I got DDoSed for like months and months. So at the time I was maintaining a 10K plus viewership stream, and I just stopped because I got DDoSed for 6 months, and it was so frustrating for me on my mental state that I couldn't handle it anymore. Focused on professional play, I focused on coaching, and a year later, when I came back to streaming, I had nothing, literally nothing. I started from an 800 viewer stream again after coaching CLG and trying to go to the LCS on CLG Academy. I came back to an 800 viewer stream when I used to have 8,000 plus, and it was really demoralizing because I was like, what do I do? And for me, my problems were always just like, well, let's just solve the problem with a lot of grinding because I'm really good at that. I can grind out a lot of hours. So that's what I did. For the year following CLG Black, I had a one bedroom apartment, a little small apartment on Culver where I did not do anything but stream. If you check the people who entered my apartment, no one entered my apartment. My manager entered my apartment once halfway through the year to get me to sign an important legal document for something,
Okay.
and then my future roommates for my next apartment came in at the very end of the year to move my stuff. So a period of 1 year, I had no physical contact with anyone in my apartment, or like, and
Wow.
pretty much period. Like I full hermited streaming 100% because I was just like, I need to get this happening, because this is what I want to do.
Right.
So
Right.
I spent months trying to build up viewership. Like literally, it'd be like, well, did I get 500 more this month? Oh, I lost 500. I think one of the biggest things about streaming and doing stuff like on YouTube, streaming, content creation side of things, which by the way, every person hates the word content creation or influencers, but that's the word that sticks because that's how businesses
Right.
That's true.
officially describe them. And I'm just like, oh God, it's a mess. But one of the most worrisome things and the hardest things to realize is it's all about numbers. And you can get lost in the numbers, So like if one of your pieces of content does 1 million views or it does 100,000 views and you're just like, and the rest of your content's like 50% of that. Well, do you push for content that's like that? What if it's content you don't like? What if it's something you wanted to be a
Right.
one-off,
Yeah.
but it ended up being something different, What if it's like, for instance, this podcast episode ended up getting 4 times the viewership as all your other podcast episodes? What does that mean? You want a regular, reoccurring Scarra on the podcast?
Right.
No, you didn't want that before, but now you have to think about it. It's like, well,
Yeah.
maybe we should be bringing him back quarterly because
Yeah.
holy shit, look at the numbers, right? And
Right.
that's all it is: numbers, 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 and it sucks. It sucks ass, actually. So because what you do all nonstop is you worry and you tend to over focus on numbers and what the importance and meaning of numbers are. So like I've been in situations where it's like, well, my weekly growth I had 500 and my daily I had like this many viewers, but yesterday I had this many and the day after I had this many, and I had the viewers because I was better, or did I have the viewers because like people weren't streaming, or did I have the viewers because whatchamacallit, some meteor hit Africa and like something like people were looking at like a world tragedy and weren't watching my
Right.
stream. Like I don't know a lot of times.
Right.
And even when I do know, it's like it's just something you don't focus on because it's so easy to get lost in the numbers. Right now, I can tell you right now, I don't look at my viewership. When I stream, I only see my viewership at the very end of my stream, and that's it. When I'm looking to host someone. Aside from that, never look at my viewership. I try very hard not to. I don't look at my like I guess weekly progress in terms of average viewerships. I
Right.
look at the very end of like a couple weeks or the end of the month to try to figure out like how it is normally and where I could move it, right? But if you're doing YouTube, if you're doing Twitch, like everyone gets lost in, wow, I have 800 subs today, and next month I have 900 subs, and the month after I have 1,000 subs. But I took a break for 4 days, and now I have 800 subs. And I don't know how many are going to come back from Prime, so I'm going to go ahead and stream an extra 7 days in a row, putting 12 hours a day because I really need the like validation of the numbers that I see in front of my screen. And if you're talking about the worst part and the part that's by far the worst for you mentally, it's the numbers that happen like behind the scenes, or like not even behind the scenes, actively when it comes to streaming and doing like YouTube. It's like it's too easy for your entire life to be defined by the number of viewership that you have.
Right.
That's very insightful because a lot of the streamers and just content creators, like you said, like they are really looking at to get numbers, and it's become a ball game of numbers, and that's the whole thing, I think, where people just end up chasing
I guess
that
there's
number.
like a trade-off between actually creating content that you enjoy and then constantly looking at the numbers all the time.
Well, people do. It's common that YouTube channels do something called one for me, one for you, where it's
Okay.
half like
Right.
if you have a thing that you really like, it's what you do one thing for me for like yourself, and then you do one thing for people that they will really like.
Okay.
And then there's me where I just do stuff that I like because I think that like I don't want to do just stuff that other people like. If I don't like
Right.
it, I'm not a good enough actor to lie to you and tell you I like it. And so I prefer to just focus on content that I like and make you guys like it because I'm passionate about it, and vice versa. But I know there's a lot of channels that do a lot of different other avenues. I'm just saying that like that in itself is very, very common on platforms like YouTube.
That is very insightful, actually. And That's the thing that what we do at League Connect India as well is not really chase after the numbers. It's more of an awareness because League of Legends is somewhat of a growing thing in South Asia. Like as a region, we aren't even recognized. The closest thing we had was the Asian Games qualifiers, where there was a team Pakistan who went for the South Asia qualifiers and they ended up playing against the Taiwan country as well. So like we want to create content to basically show that there is a lot of people who love watching it, and having guests like you on board really helps us put the word out because in India, right, in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, there's a lot of fans of Scarra, and that's what we want to reach out to by talking to you because it helps reach out to them. Yeah, they watch you via the podcast, but just having a bit of a localized angle towards the whole situation is like really helpful. So definitely like that's the kind of content that at least we are looking to focus out on, so just want to put it out there.
Dang, it's weird for me to think of me having global fans. I know a lot of times people are just like, "Oh, I'm big fans of you in Singapore, big fans of you in like Taiwan." I'm from. This is really weird. I looked at my numbers recently, or like a while back, and I had a lot of fans surprisingly in Australia. And I was just like, what makes me appealing to people in Australia? Like, I'm just really.
It's the same thing that makes you appealing in the US, Kari. Like, people love watching you. Like, that's just.
But it's just like a really strange for like one of my top cities to be somewhere in Australia. I was just really surprised when I found out.
Yeah, I actually wanted to speak to you about like given that India's streaming scene is pretty nascent. There are a lot of budding Indian streamers who are trying to sort of get it to be a sustainable model, but they can't really rely on things like merch or a brand recognition as such because they're not as widely known as a lot of the other streamers out there. So what do you think, what advice would you give the like budding Indian streamers right now in a continent which is not really that big on esports and brand recognition as of now, but the possibility is there?
Let me put it this way. You're thinking about merch and brand recognition as a way to be a streamer. That's not the right way to think about streaming. Because none of the streamers started and was just like, because my merch is so good, you should watch me. No one did. No one has a clothing line in League of Legends where that's what they're famous for, and they come and became a streamer because of that. Merch came off the fact that they got big and they were able to, they got merch to capitalize financially and have a way for fans to support them. That's how I came about my merch, and how everyone did theirs too. It's across the board. That's just the reason.
Yeah.
And the reason why or how you become a good streamer is always equal across everywhere. Like it's a universal language. Have a reason for people to watch you. Have a niche. And I think that like for like budding Indian streamers, like a lot of the niche is going to be like there's going to be a market out there for people who want to watch Indian streamers, who want to feel connected culturally or with someone who is, the same culture as them, And so that right there is a market that's tappable because India is just so big, And it doesn't matter that the idea of there not being, I guess, esports is not being big is you're not selling esports, and you shouldn't be when you're a streamer. You're selling yourself. So it's not just the idea that you're trying to. It's like you're trying to be an actor and you're trying to sell your own brand to people, and you're not trying to sell the idea of like you're not trying to sell Hollywood. You're not trying to sell the idea of acting. You're trying to sell yourself. That's the most important thing. And so I don't know what the current like kind of nascent growing Indian streamers are. However, I think that they have and I think it's really difficult for you to go into a saturated game and become big. So like the idea of going to Fortnite or League of Legends to be like, yeah, I'm gonna be the best Fortnite streamer right now. It's like, no, you're not, because there's already tons of incredible Fortnite players. And so unless you're like literally the best Fortnite player in India or in like Southeast Asia, you're not gonna do that. But if let's say you are the best Fortnite player in India, you have a reason for people to watch you, And having that kind of reason is what's going to bring you viewers. So a lot of the people get big because they're just good at games, good at something. I got big because I was good at League. To be honest, I was good at League, better than most people, and I was a professional player. That's how I started my streaming career, and that's true for a lot of other people out there. I know big streamers for League of Legends that happened this year. TF Blade got huge because
Yep.
Right.
he's so good at
So
League.
good at
He's
the
literally
game, right.
consistently ranked 1. He currently has 3 accounts in top 5 in it. You know,
Right.
and he's incredible. And the reason why people watch him is because he's good. You know, and if you're able to say that, people have a reason to watch. So whatever happens, whenever you're streaming, the reason for people to watch you is something you have to figure out and you have to have, or else you won't get viewership. Streaming isn't a thing where you walk into streaming and you think, hell, this sounds like fun. I'm gonna make this my full-time job. Great. It's a thing where like a lot of times you're catching lightning in a bottle, you know, and you have to just be the most prepared to be able to do that. And I think that a lot of people see the very successful streamers, and for me, I don't even think I'm that successful, to be honest. I average like anywhere between like a 3 to 4K, maybe 5K concurrent viewership stream. It looks pretty good, but you know, like generally growth wise, I'm not super good, and I'm like a top 100 streamer on the website. I think around like the 80s, the 60 to 80 ish mark. And for me to tell you that like I'm not that big of a streamer, like I can make it financially. You know, I'm very like comfortable. But think of how much time I've been streaming. Think of like the audience I built, and like for me to only be like I'm top 100 and it's difficult for me to get higher. Like that's really like it should be eye opening, because I think that like if you're in the top 1,000, or like you can live very comfortably, or like top 100 you can live very comfortably, top 1,000 it should be pretty good. Like it could be your full-time job, and then maybe after that, good luck, because I don't think so. I don't think it could be your full-time thing. So streaming is not something that you should expect to replace everything that you do. It should be something that like, you know, you try to prepare the best you can. And the number one appealing thing about streaming is the fact that people suck at acting, straight up. So the idea of streaming is the idea that you are just yourself. I've spent years understanding that everyone comes to streams to see authentic reactions of people. If I'm not enjoying the game, I don't need to tell you. Verbally, I don't need to confirm that. You can just look. Because I'm not a good enough actor, and that's way too much effort for me to fake that. And the same is true across the board. There's some like good actors out there, like decent actors on Twitch who can do that, who can be less authentic and kind of fake their reactions to make a better stream. But for the most part, you come to Twitch because it is authentic, and you connect with the viewers because you see them and you know exactly how they feel when something happens. You know, exaggeration happens. Let me preface that. Like if I make a big play, yeah, dude, sick. But like in real life, maybe I'm just like, yeah, that was really good. But like I'll exaggerate a little bit because I think it's fun that way. And a lot of people do that levels of exaggeration. But it's different than being inauthentic. And I think that like that's the number one thing you have to realize is like streaming is a lot about authenticity, and for you, like that's something that you should be clearly understanding if you're looking to get into this space.